Hello everyone. Happy Tuesday and welcome to another Learning Live. Hope everyone is doing well. Please jot a hello in the comments so I can see you watching, see who's crafting with me tonight. I'm happy to be here. Still not quite ready for Christmas yet, so I'm actually going to be pulling some goodies out of a birthday box tonight. Now, the card that I'm going to be making is not necessarily birthday per se, but Spellbinders has this amazing kit called Just Add Cake, and I want to show you some of the stuff in it. And the one die in particular, as soon as I saw it, I thought sunflowers. My mom loves sunflowers. I think they're beautiful in the summertime and into the fall, and so I thought this would be a really great card to make. So hello everyone, thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun, and I'm gonna warn you off the top. Actually, let me get rid of this. I am going to warn you off the top that I have an idea in my head. I have not even sketched it out. I have not planned this out very well at all. But I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident in the thing I'm going to do tonight, and I think we're going to just have a lot of fun. Now, just because I am using flowers doesn't mean you can't use some of these techniques, these ideas with stars or hearts or really any other, I'm going to say basic shape. You don't want anything too complicated and too layered. We are going to do something that at least I call faux embossing. So when you run a paper through an embossing folder, or when you use a heat gun and embossing powder, it creates that dimensional look, but often it is more of a tone-on-tone type of look. So we're actually going to create that look, but without embossing folders and without embossing powder. We are going to use die cut images. And I've got a whole bunch cut out here. So without further ado, let me flip over to my desktop camera. I can see the comments, so please jot your notes in there, any questions you may have. And of course, we would love it if you posted in our community group, the Papercrafts Inner Circle. I'll put that link up at the end, and show us what you make. So here we go. Let me flip over. I've rejigged a few things here on my system, so I just want to make sure that everything goes well. Oh, you know what? Would really, really help if you plug the camera into the computer. So one second. I missed a step. How is that? Can you hear me better? Okay, hopefully everything is good. And now when I go to my desktop, ta-da! I went and brushed my teeth, thought I had lots of time, and didn't have all those things set up. So my apologies. The joys of live TV. Anyways, this is the Just Add Cake box from Spellbinders. It's not new. It has been out in the market. I feel like we got it in March, sometime in that time frame, right around my birthday, so maybe it is a little bit special there. But this is a really fun card making box, goodies, that when you open it up, there are all kinds of bits and pieces inside. So there is a stamp set. Let me see if I've got a plain piece of paper to put behind this here. So things like Just Add Cake, Happy Birthday, Birthday Wishes, Let the Day Grow Wild, Have the Sweetest Birthday, It's Your Birthday, Devour It. And then it does have a coordinating die to go with it. And then there is a series of other dies. So this is actually the die that we are going to be using tonight. When you take it out of the package, you do have a whole package of dies. Now, I've put it in my storage container. It just came on a cardboard carrier sheet, But what you do get, which I think is super helpful, is not only do you have this beautiful inspiration card, but it also has kind of a, I'm going to call it a menu to help you understand what all the pieces are and what they do. So there is the flower one that we are going to be using tonight. There is this adorable little cupcake that has the candles, the cupcake, some great little floral elements. Now, those floral elements, by all means, you could use them on your own. You don't need them with the cupcake, but that one's fun. Really like this one, the champagne. Now, again, this could be used for retirement or wedding or anniversary. Another year worth toasting does not have to mean birthday. We've got this one here. Happy birthday, celebrate big, make it count, just add cake, make a wish. So it's got those little sentiments and the banner. We've got this ever popular mug, and it's got the hands that are holding it. So birthday, Father's Day, good stuff. And then there is Chompster. Now, Chompster has been super popular. If you have been on any Spellbinders site on social media, you will recognize Chompster. He's got so many different variations that I've seen people use him to create. Leave nothing but crumbs. That is a great motto to have. And little birdie told me Chompster's going to have some add-ons coming as well. But he's only available in this kit. So if you are interested, let me show you all the other goodies that are in here. There are some shaker bits. There is an embossing folder. So we're not using this tonight, but if you want a nice confetti embossing folder, you get cardstock, you get rub-ons, you get card bases, you get lime zest, like PCW green splatter. Have to get that out of the box. And then you get these little shaker domes, and these actually fit directly in the center of this flower. So we're using that tonight as well. I'm going to dig it out before I forget about it. So those are all the things that are in this kit, and you know, the dies and things are not available separately, only available. They've been doing some inspiration on YouTube. There's been a different video every month. So lots of ideas, lots of ways that you can create with this. I'm going to keep the stamp set out as well. But it is just a jam-packed little box. If you're going to a retreat, or if you're still going to the cottage or the trailer in the summertime, this would be enough to keep you crafting for hours and hours and many a rainy day. So there's my little commercial off the top, but those are the goodies that we are using tonight. And we are going to make a beautiful card, make a sunflower card with these florals. So what have I got here in front of me? So before we went live, I spent some time cutting out a whole bunch of these smaller flowers from this set. The concept, as I was saying, it's going to look like it has been run through an embossing folder. However, it's not. And what I mean by it's going to look like it is we're going to have some different layers just by building a tone-on-tone background here with these die cuts. And I sure hope that I have cut enough. I think I'm going to be okay, but I've got Scout off to the side here. And I think that's important to note that a lot of the items in this birthday box will fit in your smallest die cutting machine. So you really can take it on the go. So already, without even gluing it down, you can see how this is going to start taking shape and looking like an embossed background. Then my next idea, so I'm going to turn the large flower here into a shaker element with use of the domes. Now I'm not going to use the sequins that are in the box because those are pink and blue, and with this being a sunflower, I wanted something a little more neutral. So I grabbed these latte discs, latte being the color, to pop in there. And I thought it would be really fun. If you've ever made an easel card, you know that those are super fun because they stand up on their own. But I thought, well, do you have to make the whole card an easel card? I'm just going to make an easel element on the front of the card with our shaker flower and see where it comes out. Let's just see what it looks like. In my head, it looks fabulous. So without further ado, I've got all of these die cuts. I'm going to start gluing them down. Now tonight I am using the 49 & Market Archivers glue. I have really fallen in love with this glue. So kudos to Janine and the team at Ranger. To me, it's very much like a collage medium from Tim Holtz. It does dry clear. It's got a really nice flow to it. And so I'm going to use that for this because I know that I may get glue where I don't want it to be. And this will help me just create a nice matte finish. I'm going to grab some tweezers just because I like, actually no, I'm going to grab my Spellbinders ones. Got a little bit longer nose. I got fat fingers, and so sometimes I like to have a pair of tweezers just to help position it. Let me zoom in even closer so that you guys can see this as we are crafting. And I'm actually really pretty happy with how this is starting to lay out, even though I really didn't plan on this. I was just dropping them into place to show you. Now, one thing that's important with this particular technique is make sure you do go off the sides. We can trim those down, and we may actually be able to rotate and pop some of those other pieces back into place, make the most use of it, and cover a lot of good area. And so even if you're die cutting, I know there was at least one, I think I did manage to get like the full flower, but I had a scrap and I was trying to squeeze a flower on. So even if it is not perfectly cut out, there are lots of areas you can let it hang off and trim it out in the long run. So just fast and easy, I am going to start. I did lay it out. I think it looks good. I'm just going to start picking up one flower at a time and gluing it down. Now, because we want this to be kind of that faux embossed look, I do recommend going, at least out to the edges. When we hang it off the edge, there may be some, whoops, or when you drop it, there's going to be a little bit of glue where you don't want it, but we can clean that off. That's the beauty of a glass mat. That's the beauty of a good work surface. That's a dry baby white, but at least it'll get our little messy spot off. And once I've got that glue down, I'm just pushing it down so that it is nice and smooth on that surface. And here we go, moving along. Just need a little bit. Pop it into place. You do want the flowers to kind of rotate in different positions, trying to fill that space there. You don't want to make it look like they're marching across the page in unison. You want it to be a nice random kind of field of flowers here. And let's do this one. So while you guys are watching me glue, let me ask you, what is your favorite kind of flower? I did mention that sunflowers are my mom's favorite. Matt's mom loves daisies. I am partial to morning glories, especially the blue ones. Those have long been my favorite, and I haven't had those in my garden much the last few years, but I kind of want to get back to it. I've been focusing more on trying to build a butterfly garden, having mixed success, but while I have strengths in the creative world, gardening is not necessarily one of my strengths. And I'm okay with that. I just like trying. All right, so just pressing these down, making sure, again, it is very key to have all those petals down. You don't want anything poking up. Carol says she loves sunflowers and peonies. Joanne likes lilacs. Yes, lilacs are another of my favorites. We have 2 big lilac bushes right outside our front door, as well as lily of the valley. So in the spring, you walk out my front door and it just smells amazing. Liz likes lilies. Yes. All good, beautiful flowers. All right. Oh, I'm saying why? I'm thinking, why is that one sticking up? It's because I haven't glued it yet. So this can be a very therapeutic exercise. You do need a fair number of die cuts. So my recommendation is, maybe, kind of once you have that idea in your head as to what you want your faux embossed panel to look like, sit in front of the TV, put your favorite movie on, or your favorite TV show or a podcast or something, and just spend some time die cutting. Make yourself a nice big pile like I've got right here. Nice big pile of die cuts. And you know what? What's the worst that happens if you cut too many? You just have to make 2 cards. 2 cards if you've got too many die cuts. I am quite happy with how this is coming together. If I do say so myself. Is that one stuck down? No, it's not. I can move it a little bit. So I'm making sure I do have some that are going off the side. If you're working on a paper mat, do be careful that these extra bits aren't getting glued to the paper. I know here on my glass mat, it's going to be fine to lift it up and clean afterwards. Maybe I'll put that one that way. Whoops, runaway glue. There we go. And you really don't need a lot of glue, but you do need it to go out to the edges. I was going to twist that one, wasn't I? There we go. All right, push and hold. That one's stuck. These ones aren't. I think I'm going to move them out of the way. So this really nice tone on tone look. Now, maybe you don't have quite the right color that you like. Maybe you want to have something that is not in your stash. You could do the same technique out of white and then go over it with ink. The ink would look really awesome because it'll catch all of those edges and give it some great dimension. I did grab, speaking of 49 Market, I did grab a couple of yellow inks here. So I may still do that on this, but I have to say I am really liking this, so I might not. It's always good to have the tools handy and maybe not always use it. Okay, fill this hole here. Oops. Oops, wrong spot. Let's go off the edge just a little bit. Out to each petal. Yeah, let's do there. Make sure it's all sticking down. Once you've got everything glued, another step you can do, I'm not going to do it tonight because I just have my small die cutting machine out, but you could put this through your die cutting machine without any dies, without anything other than the plates, and feed it through so that it'll help just compress all of the pieces and have them stuck down nice and firm. But like I said, I've got my my small die cutting machine, so this won't fit, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it. All right. So I still have a couple of empty spots down here, maybe a little empty spot up there. But before I go and use some more whole flowers, I am going to go and take my scissors and trim off these extra bits because there may be enough of something that I can stick in a spot to fill a hole. So to do that, I'm just going to flip it over so I'm looking at the back side, but this way I can really easily trim along that edge. There we go. Keep a little pile of them. Bring another little tray out here. These tiny little petals I probably won't keep because they're gonna go flying. They would be harder to glue, but these bigger ones I should be able to. Now I'm gonna have all these little yellow bits. Trim as close as you can. I prefer the control that I get with my scissors, but if you were brave, you could put it in your paper trimmer. Here's another big one that I think I can probably keep. I actually didn't have too many big ones, so as much as I said, do this step next, we probably could have gotten away. All right, so here is, let's make a little bit of space. Here's my panel so far. I can take, like these are just two little petals. I could put that up here. And it just helps give it a little bit more of a continuous look. Fills in some of the gaps. And makes good use of all that work you did die cutting. So I've got this one here. And sometimes just visually, you know, I look at this space here and think, oh, I can't fit anything in here. But then I tuck that in there and it's like, oh, okay, sure I can. Let me just put that in. Oh, you can't see it. Too much yellow on yellow here. But I can nest that there. And I feel like I've got two more spots. So if I take this one's got some, if I go on this side, it's got the pointier bits. I can squeeze that in there. But since I know I'm cutting most of it off, I'm not going to glue the whole thing. Sorry, I'll put it up here. I'm not going to glue the whole thing. I'm just going to glue that little bit. Did I get it all? Yep. Target it like so. So that's filling in that little hole. Flip it over. Just double check that I did get all the glue. I seem to be okay. And this last little bit should be able to nest in there. And even that, I'm not going to use all of it. I'm just going to use maybe these top 4 petals. Swing this around. Get my head on straight here. Squeeze that into that space. And one last trim. Yeah, I think this little petal here probably needs a little bit more glue, but as an even safer option, and this one out here, oh, that one just pulled off. I'm just gonna pull it off. Doesn't affect it, nobody knows. Liz was asking about my little trays. This is a little sneaky peeky. So stay tuned. Yes, Charlie has been making them and we will be launching them in a few weeks. So stay tuned. Cute little trays. I'm also going to use them for my sequins because it's got the little spout here, so that'll help us pour it where we want to pour it. All right, here we go. I actually really like this. I'm a little hesitant to try the ink, but what's the worst that's going to happen? I don't like it and I have to start over, but I can do that off camera. So, or you know what? Here, I've got a little bit extra here. Do I have any in my, no, for whatever reason, my yellow scraps are very, very few and far between. So here, I'm just going to take one, since I've got some extras, I am going to take a few. Let's call this my practice one. didn't get any glue under there. Like, make sure you get glue all the way to the edges, not like me. All right, and let's see what these looks like. Before I do it on my good card, let's do a little practice one to see what the ink looks like on these guys before we decide. Now, I got a little bit of glue, got a little excited with the glue here. So you probably want to let that dry before you do too much inking, but I've cleaned most of that off. One thing I will say about this this Archiver's glue, if you're not using it for a period of time, then put the cap back on. You can poke it with a pin, but I find it does get a little, I'm going to call it a scab. Gets a little scab on the top, and you need to clean it off. All right, I'm going to try the pineapple first, I think. Ooh, that's really dark, though. Oh, yeah, daffodil. Daffodil, I think, is the color. So if you had this, if this was your card, you could just go over it like this. I'll bring it close to the camera in just a second. I don't know, maybe it's not. Let's try pineapple. It just brings out some of the texture. I don't know. I'm kind of not loving it. I mean, I think it would depend on what your shape was and if you actually had quite the right color. I'm not 100% sold that these are the right colors. So I'm glad I practiced. I'm going to put those aside, and I'm going to leave my panel as is. So this is where you could go and put it onto your card base. And now we're going to get ready for the next step. So the next step is, again, I want to create like a focal point in the center of the card that will then stand up and be an easel. So when you are typically making an easel card, I'm going to bring this Post-it note out. I've got a pen. Do I have a pencil? I do not. But when you make an easel card, and this is kind of the profile, you want the card, first of all, to lie flat. But you're going to put a little score mark in the middle so that it can stand up on its own. And we're going to put a little stopper here. But this is the concept, and again, this is side view. This is the concept of the focal point that I want to create in here. So essentially, I need a piece of paper that is folded in half and that has another score line on top of it. I'm going to just guess. I'm really just going to kind of play with measurements and things. I think if I do, so a Post-it note is 3 inches, right? Yeah, Post-it note is 3 inches. If I do my little easel 3 inches, and I could do 3 inches by 3 inches square, it's kind of taking a little bit away from my sunflowers, but you're still seeing that background. So I think maybe I'm going to go just a little bit smaller. I'm going to do my easel so that it is 2 inches wide by 3 inches tall. That's also going to give me easy math because I know that half of 3 is 1.5. Math, not my strength, but easy halves I think I should manage to do. So if this is 3, I actually want it to be 6 inches in length because I need a front and a back, and 2 inches wide. And my plan is to use green because you know what? This is in the garden. This is inspired by florals. So what green are we going to use? Fern is always a good choice. Always a good choice. Question is my piece? Yep, my piece is big enough, so I could use that. I think peridot is a little bit too yellow. Whereas this one here is going to give us some good contrast. And I do also like my rainforest, but I don't have enough in my scrap bin. So maybe maybe what I'll do is I'll save the rainforest to cut some leaves from that die set, or some stems or just some extra foliage bits. And I'm going to use the fern as my base. So, paper trimmer. I'm going to zoom back out so that you can see a little bit more of my camera here. So I want this to be 6 inches long, like so. And I'm going to do 2 inches wide. Though 2 inches now that I see it, feels a little bit small. The 3 inches felt too big. So let's split the difference and do 2.5. And I do apologize. Like I said, typically I would have this planned out. But sometimes it's fun to just kind of think it through in real time. Worst case, if I don't like it, this one, oh, it's a little bit smaller than 2 inches. We can always come back. We can always trim it down. Instead of getting out my other trimmer, I'll just get out my scoreboard. So I'm going to score it in half. So 3 inches would be the half mark. 3 is half of 6, like so. And I need my front to be scored at half again. So half of 3 is 1.5. See, easy math. Easy math. No 7/8, no 16ths. Sorry, Darlene. So this will fold in half. And when I go to stand it up, it's going to stand like this. So look, looks like my diagram, doesn't it? I'm not going to glue anything down yet, because you know what? You got to test it first. And we did all of that work to make that beautiful embossed faux embossed background. But I feel like that size is good. I wonder. Now I'm really getting crazy. What if I put a little mat underneath that? Is that too much green? What do you guys think? This is the peridot. This is the rainforest. Or maybe I even just put white. Okay, I can mat it up afterwards. Let me know. Do you think I should just put the easel on straight, or should I put it on a mat? While we're thinking about that, I am going to cut out my large sunflower here and get our shaker element ready. Of course, Spellbinders has thought of pretty much everything. So on this large flower, you can cut it out whole, or there is a die to be able to cut out the center. So here's my plan. I'm going to cut out a flower with the center cut out of, naturally, sunflower. That's the color I have here. And see, that's got a nice contrast against our beeswax. Beeswax is the lighter yellow. But I'm going to cut the back piece in brown. And that way it not only gives me a piece to hold my shaker in place, but then the brown for the flower center is already going to be there. So I'm going to take this flower and cut it twice. Once as whole and once with a hole. All right, looks like most people are saying no mat, so that's good. And that's not no mat, my husband. It's no mat on our piece. This piece is fine. I need a little piece of this. Oh, sorry. I called it sunflower. It's not sunflower. It's saffron. My mistake. Okay. So most of the time when I use cardstock, I start with A2 panels. So I'm going to start that at A2, but then cut it once again in half. That should be big enough for my flower. It sure is. Just keeps me having some nice standard sizes in my scrap stash. That goes behind me. And let's bring Mr. Scout over. All right, looks like the consensus is no mat, so we will not do a mat. So brown first. Brown is going to be a full flower with no center cut out. And for the most part, this is not going to be seen, but it is going to help us build our shaker and fill in those centers. Come on. Look at that. Look at that beautiful detail on that die. And we are going to do it again with the saffron. See if I can bring this a little bit more on camera here. So in this case, I've got my flower down. I need the center. And this center has been perfectly designed to fit those shaker domes that came in the kit. So I don't have to think twice. I am going to put just a little piece of tape to keep that center from shifting too much to one side. Like so. And you know what? I could have done the exact, we were talking earlier about flowers and my mom liking sunflowers. You could do this out of white and just leave it as white for daisies or other such white flowers. So many options to choose from. Okay. Pull up the tape. Put this back on my die sheet or I will lose it. Flower, the center. Like I said, I may cut some leaves as well, so I'll leave this handy. Here's my flower. That center didn't seem to cut super well. Let's see if I can try it again. So can I nest that on there? Take that tape so it doesn't move and try again. Sometimes if you got too many things going on, you might have a cut that doesn't work as perfectly as planned. Don't hesitate to try again. And I just had some classes yesterday where we were using the Scout machines and really focusing on pressure. Always remember that on any die cutting machine, you have more pressure out the outside edges than you do in the center. There is a roller in here and it's attached here at the sides. You're going to have more pressure there. So if you're having trouble cutting something, shift it off to one or the other side to give you more pressure as you're cutting. You will have, look at that, even better. Even cut through the tape. That little trick will help you get a better cut. Okay, put this back on my magnet. And you know what? I think this is going to fit beautifully on our easel. I feel like it's just the right size. Because we are offsetting, I could put it off to one side. And let's just eyeball this. So if you look at the flower, there is like a wider gap here at the bottom. So I'm going to remember that that is the bottom. Okay, let's grab one of our domes. So these domes do not have any adhesive on them whatsoever. You could use a liquid glue, but when you want something to dry quickly, I don't always recommend a liquid glue as something that would be the right tool for the job. So I'm going to grab, behind me, and it's falling off the roll, but I'm going to grab my 3mm super skinny score tape. It is falling apart, but still very usable. Just find the end here. And I'm actually going to put the tape on the flower, because if a little bit of tape hangs off the outside edge, it's not going to be a big deal. This one is thin enough, and I'm just going to take a strip here. Excuse me, a strip here, instead of trying to fight with that roll. But I can just go like this and maneuver it around so that it is close to that opening. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we want it close. And it's actually not the tape that is buckling here, it's just the liner sheet. So rest assured that when we remove the liner sheet, this is going to be in a position that everything is going to stick really nicely. All right, and back to the start. So little tiny gap there that I missed. I'm just gonna go like that. Since I know this petal is gonna get backed by this one, I don't have to worry about that sticking to things we don't want it to. I've got a little bit of tape left over. Gonna put it off to the side because you never know when we're gonna need it. And now I can peel that liner sheet, that backing. Peel this one too. I'll bring it up close to the camera in just a sec. And you can see how beautifully I've got this going around just that outer edge. If you have some hangover, just kind of press it back in. It's very forgiving. It's going to mold into the place that you want it to. And now I'm going to take the center and stick it in through the center. And yeah, this is sticky. I'm not worried about it. Take it down this way. You can press it. Oh, Margaret's saying that her tape falls apart too. I find it's the worst with the skinny because there's just not enough, I guess, pressure to hold it onto the roll. Not really sure. Just try to be careful. It would be frustrating if you were traveling with it a lot. Mine just stays on my little stacker here. And we do the best we can. All right, so got this sticking down here, just making sure it's super stuck. And like I said, this is now going to sandwich in here. So even if it doesn't stick perfectly, when we stick this together, it's going to create a nice seal around all of it. So next up is our shaker bits. I'm going to put them in. So these are the Latte Smooth discs from Spellbinders. I'm not sure if they are still making the smooth discs, but we do still have some in stock. And, oh, be careful of the staples. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it in my little tray. And then I can use that spout to give us a little bit more control here. And I don't need a whole lot. That's probably plenty. And now I'm going to rotate this so that gap is down here at the bottom. And now I'm going to put the glue onto the brown and put it face down. That way I don't have to worry about the shaker bits falling out. I don't have to worry about getting it in just the right spot. I know that this gap needs to be at the bottom. And the only thing I'm going to be really careful of is not to go in this center area, because we don't want glue where the shaker bits are going to be so that they fall out, or that they get stuck. So again, I'm just going to be a little bit generous this time. And just scribble, scribble, scribble. Following the detail lines. Never forgetting where, okay, so there's my bottom there. If you have to, put a little piece of tape or a pencil mark or something so you remember and not have to fight the glue. All right. Carefully, there's my wide bit. flip it down, line up those pieces, and squeeze. And there's our little sunflower with those sparkly bits inside. Like I said, if you were doing a daisy, you could put yellow sparkly bits. If you were doing a flower more like this one, those pink and blue ones might have worked really well. But look, and it's all sealed nice and tight, so those shaker bits are not going to come out. Okay, so our plan is that's going to go there. And then I might actually use one of the smaller ones. Oh, that's a different color though. I'm going to cut it out of, can probably fit it out of here. To act as our stopper. And I said I was going to cut some leaves too. So let me grab that rainforest. I'm going to cut just a little piece here. And this one's interesting. So it's got all of these stems with the little leaves on it, but I actually think they're a little bit small for what I want. So I'm going to get creative. I'm actually going to use these guys. They're meant to be smaller flowers, but I think they could also make some really interesting leaves. Carol says, thank you for picking one of my favorite flowers. Well, Carol, I would love to see your version of this after the live, so make sure you share it. Carol's been running our alphabet soup challenge in our community group. We are almost at the end of August, so that's been 2 months worth of great challenges. And you know what, Carol, you could save this for us for sunflowers. So there's my little green bits. There is my smaller flower in the saffron color, not the beeswax color. And I'm just realizing I should probably cut a center for that flower as well out of the brown. Luckily, I've still got some scraps here. Will it fit up here? Oh, I'm getting super frugal tonight. Let's just cut this out. Oh, it's just going to fit perfectly. Right. Scraps. Center. Oops, now my tweezers are stuck. There we go. Let's go ahead and put this on before I lose it. Look how cute that is. You know what? There is a center for that large flower. I probably could have cut that out and put it in behind so that you got the texture in behind, but I think our shaker bits are hiding it fair enough. All right, assembly time. So, no mat. We said no mat. So I'm gonna put this down. Make sure that your scored piece is at the top. I think because of all the layers, I really do want that to stick. So I've gone to score tape instead of just tape runner to attach this. We'll do a little spot there, down the center, and on the edge. I'm excited, guys. I think this is gonna work. Make sure your fold is at the top. And this might be too small. Yeah, but I can match them up. What am I talking about? I'm just guessing here. I'm not sure if these are the right sizes or not. That's a little bit too low, I think. But it'll at least help me get left to right. So we'll go that way. Pretty good, pretty good. Where am I with zoom? Can I go out a little bit? There we go. Put my guides away. My big flower is going to go on that front flap, so make sure you are only gluing the bottom half. I think. Just going to do a little mark there, so I know that the glue is only going below. This can be stuck on here. And what I'm doing is just that little mark, making sure that it's sticking to these. And I'm totally okay. I actually did it on purpose to have it hanging off, because then this little guy can go here. I actually had originally thought that this would be down here. Actually, I think I still will. Maybe I'll put the sentiment up here. So this one, I need a foam square. There's a big one. So when you do an easel card, you need something to be a stopper. And I like to have it kind of be a little surprise and delight. So I always keep it hidden underneath. But then that way your little card is sitting like that. And how about the Let the Day Grow Wild as our sentiment? Give me a block. Don't just plop it down, measure it out. Wild is on the bottom. There we go. Try to straighten it out. Don't push it, don't stretch it too much, because you don't want it to get misshapen. And I know I had some white. Bear with me. All right, go for plan B. There's a scrap of white that I can use. Nope, still not straight. So here's a trick. It might not work as well on the glass mat, but let your stamp just kind of rest. Don't try to manipulate it, and then take it here and put the block down like this. Sometimes we over manipulate this trying to get it straight and not succeeding. So if you kind of let it just be at its natural state, it will you'll have more success at it being, sorry, I'm way off the camera there, but there's my sentiment. Let the day grow wild. I'm gonna guess that it's this die over here. Where's the edge? Let's give this a die cut. Sorry, I know you can't see me, but I'm just getting that die straight. Put it through the machine. And I think it'll look really good, like right there. So I'm going to use liquid glue. Or am I? No, I'm going to use foam adhesive strips. I had a bag at one point with extra little strips on it. Oh, here we go. I got some black ones. Black ones will be just as well as the white ones on this. So we'll snip a little piece off to go right in behind. And I'll cut another little piece for under wild here. And then I think we're pretty much done. Gotta love it when a plan comes together, right? Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But that's all part of the creative process. And I love that we can just be free. There we go. So closed, the card's gonna look like this. And you know what, I could possibly tuck another one under there. I would want to do it out of the darker yellow, but for right now I'm gonna leave it as is. And then it can just pop up and be that nice little standing piece. And even if it were standing on a card, you know, as an actual card, you could just lay it down and have it stand there like that. Woohoo! Faux embossing, a little shaker element, all using that Just Add Cake birthday box from Spellbinders, not just for birthdays, because you know, you can have cake anytime you want, and you can make amazing crafts anytime you want. All right. There we go. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you learned a couple of tips. Hope you give this faux embossing technique a try. It's lots of fun. It really just gives another life to your dies, and love to see what you make. So don't forget to pop your photos into our Paper Crafts Inner Circle. Wishing you all a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you soon. Good night, everyone. Oops, wrong slide.